Yeah, okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Sharmila. I'm the menopause advocate. And today I'm going to be talking on resilience. Why? Because I believe menopause is just not limited to physical change. It has a profound impact on the psychological well being as well. And that brings us to our special guest here, Dr. Farnaaz Sharif. She is known and multi award winning resilient speaker, trainer, and a coach, and a lot more. NLP practitioner. She's a faculty in leadership management and NHS. Lot in her I think career plate. Yeah. Um, but we are here. I want to extend a warm welcome to Dr. Farnaz. Over to you, Doctor.
Thanks, Sharmi. Thank you for having me. It's really good to be here having this very, very important conversation on menopause. I think one of the things that I've noticed, I work as a GP as well, so I get to see a lot of patients. And, there is a lot of information out there about hormone replacement therapy, the different options people can choose. And of course, this is often complemented by lifestyle changes that we need to make. But sometimes the emphasis on lifestyle changes is less than it is on the hormone replacement therapy. And I do believe that when you make sure, that you're looking after your body, your mind, your heart, effectively, particularly during challenging transitions in life, then our ability to function effectively during these transitions is enhanced. And I think that's what resilience is. It's our ability to function as effectively as possible with whatever challenge it is we're facing. So it's great to be having this conversation with you today. So resilience, if you look at the Oxford or one of the dictionaries definition of resilience, they say that resilience is the ability to recover from the challenges we face, on a daily basis. And I believe that's right. It's how well we bounce back, how well we recover from the challenges we face. But I also think resilience is about how well we function in high stress environments. So how do you deal with a bad day? How do you deal with a menopausal transition? How
Yeah.
do you deal with a very stressful situation? These are all important things for us to be considering when we think about resilience. So recovery is important, but function in high stress environments is just as important, I believe.
Okay. Could you please tell us, are there any core elements that we should remember when it comes to individual resilience and the resilience differs between individuals?
Yeah,
Some light, yeah.
absolutely. I think there's lots of different factors that contribute to our resilience, right? And we said resilience is our ability to recover and to function. So there's many, many different things, but what I tend to do to keep things as simple and as clear as possible is I divide them into four key areas that we need to be thinking of. And I call these the four Fs of
Oh,
resilience, right? So the first thing we need to be thinking about is fuel. The first F is fuel. Fuel is essentially the nourishment that we give our bodies, so our diet, right? And we can talk a little bit more about that in detail.
mhm.
The second F is how we refuel, so how we recover. The
Oh,
quality of our sleep is really important in contributing to our resilience. The third F is our form. So, how you sit, how you interact with people, all of these things are really, really important. So the third F is form, and the fourth and the final F is focus. What you choose to focus on in a crisis, in a challenge, in a transition, also has an impact on our resilience. So how we fuel, how we refuel, our form, and our focus. These are four key things I think that contribute to our resilience.
wow. I mean, those four things are something easy for me to remember, and I'm sure for the listeners as well. And what about, I never thought the third one, the gestures, small gestures like sitting straight, and those things also have an impact. That is that is
Yeah.
something that, yeah, that's good learning for
Yes.
me today. Yeah.
We
And
can talk about form first. You're right, because if you think about it, when individuals get stressed, often, the mind doesn't want to be in a stressful or a difficult situation. Like we think, oh my God, I don't want to be here. This is too difficult. So
Mm-hmm.
when the mind withdraws, the body follows. And you
Yeah.
may notice that people that are often very depressed or low in energy, they're often hunched over, they look down, they tend to frown,
Yeah.
everything goes downwards. So
Yes.
if you want to change how you feel about a situation very, very quickly, a really good thing to do is change your body, because you can do that. So if you stop, you can do this with me. Our listeners can do this
You're
with me
reminding
now.
me.
Yeah.
My portion as well. Maybe because I could relate it in this way. Mind and body is integrated. We can't separate them.
Yes.
So your mind or your body also contributes to the well-being of your mind, and that
Yeah.
eventually building resilience. Yeah, one of the
Yeah.
ways of, yeah, lovely, lovely, nice. And but then what do you suggest for people with high stress, environment situations or working environment? What do you suggest for them? How do they deal or build resilience during high stress
So
situations?
again, I think everything comes back to the four F's that we've talked about, right?
Forest.
So it's really important for people to make sure that you're eating the right foods, because if your source of energy is inadequate, then we won't have the energy to deal with our responsibilities. So ensuring that you've got, the nice green leafy vegetables, you've got a lot of protein in your diet, you're drinking a lot of water, particularly during the menopausal transition. These are all things that really help us recover. Um, During menopause in particular, we've got to pay attention to our mind, our heart, and our bones. So when we have a diet that's rich in things like calcium, the green leafy vegetables, we've got a diet rich in antioxidants, for example, a lot of protein. This really helps in improving how we show up, right?
So
And
it
then,
comes to a holistic management again, if I say.
absolutely,
Yeah, perfectly nailed. And
yeah.
doctor, can you talk something about the breath work? How does it help in in building resilience and coping up with the situation? Breath, working on your
So
breath,
I think breath
and
is
it's
linked to form.
ah,
So form is how you sit and how you breathe, right?
yeah.
So if you
Mm.
you might notice that when you're angry, you breathe very differently, right?
Mm.
Or if you
Mm.
feel so anxious, you breathe
Mm.
differently. Similarly, if you're calm, you breathe differently. So the
Yes.
breath and mind have a really important link. And if you can change the rhythm of your breath to manage your mind, then over time we learn how to master the emotion rather than become a victim to it.
Yeah,
So
one of
often,
the yeah, one of the major top symptoms is anxiety. Like usually they talk about it. But can you can you give one? Can you share us with the listeners one breath exercise that they can practice on a
yeah,
daily routine as a
sure.
part of building resilience? Yeah.
I think one that's really good is the box breath.
Oh,
Um, Essentially what you're doing is you're slowing your breath down and you're breathing in the shape of a box. You can even look this up on YouTube. If you look up the box breathing on YouTube, you'll find the way in which you do it. But what you're doing with box breathing is you breathe in very slowly, you hold your breath, you breathe out very slowly, you hold your breath, then you breathe in, you hold, you breathe out, you hold. And the key thing is to do it as slowly as possible, because when you slow your breath down, you slow your system down, which means you can calm an emotion, you can
wow.
calm a mind down, very, very, yeah.
Wow. But is there a count? Because I believe I just love to practice this. But is there a count that we should minimum? What is the minimum count to start with this box breathing?
Sure,
Four
you
or
can
six or something?
breathe in to
Whatever
four,
works. Okay.
hold to four, breathe out for four, hold for four, breathe in for four, hold for four, breathe out for
Or
four,
is
hold.
there some no? Is there a count that one should begin with, or it is all left to the individual? What is comfortable for them to begin with?
I
Yeah.
think it depends on the individual, but
Yeah.
I'd say
Depends. Right.
start doing the box breath, for example. It's good
Okay.
to take anywhere between 6 to 8 breaths and then give yourself a little bit of a break and then do another round of 6 to 8 if you can stop. Usually, if you do 3 rounds of 6 to 8 breaths, then it's
Okay.
sufficient help settling the mind, right? Because you've got to give it a bit of time.
Okay, so 3 rounds of 6 to 8 breaths. That is, yeah, okay. And we all know that yesterday was a mental health day, World Mental Health Day. So, with that context, what do you think that individual with a low level mental health conditions, what will be the challenges they face, and to practice to in maintaining the resilience, and how can they be they address this in their low level mental state? Yeah.
Yeah. So often people feel a bit anxious, and it might be that they're anxious about a variety of different things, maybe anxious about going out or work or about social situations. Some may feel, they're not motivated to do things, or they may feel a bit depressed,
Yeah.
or they're not able to carry out, their
Mm-hmm.
responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
They may
Mm-hmm.
feel quite sad.
Yeah. Mm. And how do
I
you think
think
they can address this? Yeah.
breath work is really good in managing that. But one of the quickest ways of changing your state if you're feeling depressed is exercise.
Oh,
Exercise, and you don't have to run a marathon or anything like that, but they sort of say anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes of an activity that gets your heart rate up, at least 5 times a week, that releases what's known as
the happy
endorphins.
hormones.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Endorphin. And they make
Mm.
you feel good, right? So, and if you continue with that activity and if you sustain that activity, several times a week, then you feel good several times a week. And that's a really good way of managing low-level mental health conditions. Exercise is good, breath work is good, making sure you're eating the right foods, you're well hydrated, and when you get to sleep, making sure that the quality of your sleep is sufficient, right? So making sure you're in a cool, in a dark environment before you get to bed. You're not playing on your phone or doing anything that's going to stimulate your mind. Just relaxing before you get to bed is often good as well.
Yeah. That brings us to the next topic of, resilience and self-care. How do you think that these things can be done by people who are in a very high stress work environment, this demanding situations where they try to, overlook their self-care? That becomes the least priority. I did it too, I put my self-care as the least one because life demands. So we just tend to overlook self-care, like
Yeah,
all these things. So you have any how do we address it? Like any more advices on balancing our
sure.
professional responsibilities along with maintaining a good mental well-being?
It's important for us to realize that we can't pour out of an empty cup.
Yeah,
So we all want to make a difference. We do the things we do because we want to make a difference. But our ability to make that difference is enhanced when we feel good. When we
mm,
don't feel good, we
yeah,
can't do the things we want to do. So the first thing to do is to make sure you are well, you are looking after yourself well. And often if I think one of the lessons that I learned is if you do lots and lots of different things, sometimes you lose focus. But if you
yeah,
want to make a change to your well-being, start by doing small things because they'll make a big difference.
yeah.
So,
That
yeah,
that is really lovely, nice. So I can say that self-care, mindfulness, and self-awareness do looks like they play a major role in the development of resilience. Um,
absolutely. Yeah. And it doesn't
mm,
take long. If you do the straw breath, for example, you can take 4 or 5 straw breaths in 1 minute. So in 2 minutes, you can take eight, box breaths, and that will help calm your mind. And 2 minutes is something, we can all do that in 2 minutes. If you change the way you sit, you can do
yeah.
that in seconds. If you take a walk for 5 minutes every day, that gets your heart rate up. We can accommodate small chunks of time where we invest in ourselves. And
Mm.
over time, we can increase the amounts. You can start by taking a 5-minute walk in the morning every day.
Yeah, I was exactly going to say, Sam. That brings it to, like, be mindful about prioritizing the self-care, like 5 minutes or at least 10 minutes, like, so that you are in a better shape to carry out the rest of the stressful life ahead, the day ahead, right? So, self
Yes,
awareness, mindfulness, self care, these play a vital role in the development of resilience, right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And small
Mm.
steps will make a big difference.
What is your advice on, for an individual in bringing up the resilience as an everlasting part of their lives?
I think
How do
it's
you
important,
advise?
yeah, to protect your time where you invest in yourself. So
Okay.
what I often talk about is, we all have 24 hours in the day,
Yeah.
and we want the 24 hours to be perfect, but it's very
Mhm.
difficult to get it right for 24 hours.
Yeah.
So a way in which we can maintain or sustain our resilience is to take just two chunks of time. The first hour of your morning and the last hour of your evening. So if
Wow.
you improve the quality of the first hour of your morning, so maybe meditate or exercise or do something mindful,
Journaling.
yeah,
Yeah.
journaling, then the quality of the rest of your day improves, right? And similarly, if you improve the quality of the last hour of your evening, then the quality of your sleep improves. So if you have a warm bath or some hot milk, or you can meditate in the evening or read a book or do something relaxing before you go to bed, then the quality of your sleep improves. If your sleep improves, the next day you wake up fresh. If you do something great, something mindful journaling, meditation, first thing in the morning, the quality of your day improves. So I think that's the cycle that I would encourage people to think about: the quality of the first hour of the day and the quality of the last hour of the day.
Wow, it's just 2 hours. I mean, every individual deserves at least that 2 hours for themselves, right? In
Yeah.
order to have the better quality of life. That's a lovely tip for the listeners to take away from this. What are the warning signs that one could look out for when their resilience is wearing out? Because this is very important. I feel that yes, I've done it, but at times I do go down. Like when resilience is not everlasting. So what are the warning signs we can look out for when we are losing our resilience? Yeah, wearing signs. Yeah.
Think it's important to look for uncharacteristic behavior. So you
Oh.
might notice that someone who is usually very chatty or jovial, they might not be. So they might be a bit sad, or they might be a bit withdrawn. Or you might find someone is not eating as much as they usually do, or they're not coming out, or they're not communicating the way they normally do. So if you look out for uncharacteristic behavior, then that's, I think, usually a warning sign, just an opportunity to go up to them and say, hey, you're not like you usually are. What's going on? How can I help? Things
Mm.
like that. So uncharacteristic behavior is what you're looking for.
Wow, that is just amazing because I do notice these kind of behaviors even with our own family members, not necessarily resilience in the context of menopause, but to everybody who are listeners here, we need resilience in every stage of our life. Like we are constantly bombarded with challenges. It's all about how do we face the challenges and yet have a better quality of life, right? So that's lovely. I could relate it to my kids and colleagues or with anybody, right? Yeah, lovely. It was wonderful talking to you, doctor. I just have one last question. Um, just as a practical takeaway for the listeners here, what is the practical tips for everyday resilience?
So I think breath
You have
work.
shared a lot of tips, but one last tip that can stay in the mind every day we can practice just for, yeah.
I would say the one that works for me the most is breath work. So,
Okay.
you do breath work in the morning, or at least I do my breath work in the morning, and it sets me up for the day. So I think if you're looking to do something, accommodate breath work first thing in the morning, or you can accommodate it during the day if you feel a bit stressed or you feel a bit anxious. But the breath is incredibly powerful in changing our state so that we are in a more responsive rather than a reactive state. That's what I'd recommend.
Lovely. I heard people, individuals sharing with me saying they do this breath work just before they enter some presentations or
Yes,
meetings where they are feeling anxious. Like,
yes.
breath work does wonders. to an
Breath work,
individual. Yeah.
the box breath we've talked about. The straw breath is also a really good one that you can look up on YouTube and practice if you want to. But
Okay.
any kind of breath work is a very good way of just managing your state throughout the day.
Lovely. I mean, that is plentiful of information, short, crisp, and very valuable. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and experiences, all to do with the topic of resilience. We will see some more. I wanted to take more episodes um, with some context. This was a menopausal contest, but I have a lot for you. I mean, we will continue the session on resilience. Thank you, Doctor.
So,
Thanks for your time, and I am sure the listeners have enjoyed and a lot of takeaways for you. So just don't start listening. Start practicing as well. Yeah. Take care. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.
thanks a lot, Jeremy. Nice to see you.
Thank you.